So really quick before the video starts, I am going to take advantage of this resource. In the description for this video, there is a link. In this link, there is a competition. You will find me in this competition. If you would be so kind as to vote and share this with your family and friends, it would mean the world. The prize would suffice for the rest of my ticket to go and surprise my host sister at the end of her exchange next summer. Anyway, so if you guys could help me out with that, it would mean the world. And I hope you guys enjoy the video. It's really long. I'm going to stop this now so it doesn't get longer. But go vote. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Hey guys, it's Chelsea. So I realized I sounded really depressed in most of the videos that I've posted. So about the depression, this depressed attitude that I'm giving towards you, it's more sulking. It's more thinking that, you know, the best, the coolest thing is behind me. Not talking about coming back here is pretty hard because then it makes me really face it. Because of that, I'm not putting in the work that it took to get me there, to get me somewhere else. Or I wasn't, and now I'm starting to do that again. And like I think I've said to some of you guys before, I'm doing a second exchange. Spain, here I come! And then after that, I'm going to study in Germany. But it takes a lot of work. Another thing that I've been dealing with is every time when I was in Germany and I was walking down a path, or I was hanging out with my friends, or sitting at our favorite bar, or you know, doing something that I wouldn't do here, I was thinking, wow, I am still here. And I was so amazed and so content that I was somehow in the midst of it. Each one of those moments, each one of those wow, I'm still here moments is nothing more than a dream now, is nothing more than a memory. What am I learning? Each time you establish something in your life as the new age, you'll be more resistant to the coming of the next, to the arrival of progression. So what I am dealing with now is finding a way not to let Germany die inside me, which sounds a little dramatic, but not, you know, to keep it alive, to keep this part of this culture that has become a part of who I am alive inside me, but at the same time to realize that, you know, that can just be a stepping stool, that can be a ladder that gets me to something higher, something more amazing. And you know, something else that's really hard for me here is that you're just another American speaking English, going to high school, you know, on a sports team, whatever. You're just part of the number here. And what I talked about, I think in one of the first 5 videos or so, was the foreign factor, where you walk up to someone in Germany and you say, "Hi, I'm Chelsea," and they say, "Okay." And then you say, "I'm from America, I'm an exchange student, I'm with this scholarship," and all of a sudden, "Oh, pull up a stool, grab a beer, have it, you know, tell us about it." And here, you know, I have no friends in this city that I'm living in now, and it's okay actually, because I feel like there's no one with an expectation that I will be who I was before I left. But at the same time, I got so used to conquering the world, in a cheesy sense, I guess, that, you know, being back and spending the majority of my days sitting at home or babysitting, it's kind of depressing. I mean, it's not by any means bad, it's just not what I've been accustomed to. I almost feel like I went off to college and now I'm stuck back at high school. You know, you went off and lived in a dorm and you made friends and you went to classes and you were in control of your life, you know, even though you had responsibilities that you had to fulfill, those were kept by a choice that was only yours. Then all of a sudden the next semester comes and your family goes, "I don't think you're ready yet," pulls you back, puts you back in your old room with all the storage boxes, and sends you back to high school with your younger brother. And of course it's nothing bad, it really, I mean, that might be bad, but this is something that I expected, but I couldn't really prepare myself for. Something that I just realized was that this exchange became who I am, how I define myself. It dominates what thoughts I think and what priorities I set. And that can be beneficial, but I don't have any identity here. Of course I will gain one when I start at my new school. And I'm going to be a volunteer group leader, I suppose, for the exchange students at my mom's school. So I'll be arranging meetings and being there for advice and help and language barrier, that kind of thing. So I'm looking forward to that, but then again, that's still keeping myself in the boundaries that I set while I was in Germany. And you think being in Germany and setting boundaries aren't generally the same thing, but in this case, I suppose they were, because I tore down my own walls and I built up new ones, and then I'm dragging this new box into my newer situation and trying to fit these things into it, and it's not working too well.
Sorry about the scene change. My camera died when I was in the midst of doing the last video. Since then, I have heard something that really hit me around people that are multicultural or bicultural or can switch personalities at the drop of a dot when they switch languages. And I feel like that just between this house and when I'm staying at the house where my parents moved from. Since I've been back, I feel I'm very situationally dependent as a person, but that doesn't mean that one person isn't who I am. You adapt to your surroundings, and I've seen that and been able to embrace it, as opposed to this thing that people tell you that being two-faced is wrong. I mean, honesty is huge for me. It is something that I value over 90% of other things. But that's not what I mean by being two-faced, but being inconsistent in your person, in your characterizations, as long as they are situationally true to who you are, and that is something completely different. Something else that I realized recently, and it actually scared me, was that I was trying so desperately to remain in the process of returning. My suitcases still aren't unpacked, and I haven't opened mail that I received while I was gone, waiting for some acknowledgement from the life that I can't seem to prove to myself existed. But what I realized the other night, I am someone different than I was when I returned. And this turns back to what I said about establishing something as the new age, or the most progressed version of you in your mind, is that each time something newer comes, you have this resilience toward it, because you have this established feeling toward what was the newest. You have this want for what was new to remain, because you have some fascination with it. And looking back at my exchange, I thought, wow, I was so immature. But I think the growth toward wisdom comes in seeing that I still am immature, but that I was granted with so many amazing opportunities that so many people will never be presented with. But what did I learn? That some people are lucky? No, I learned that you don't wait for opportunity to knock at your door. That what you receive is relative to the will you prove in working for what you have. What I experience is a consequence of the conscious or lack of decisions that I make. Something that I noticed about our culture, it teaches you not to use the things that you've been through, but to forget about them. And that is mostly speaking for difficulties, for hardships, for things that hurt you. But then by ignoring these things, we don't learn from them to the fullest extent. Something that my dad always tells me is, when you make a mistake, you beat yourself over the head with that bone, and you chew up that bone until all the marrow is out of the bone. And then when the bone is dry, you throw it away. And that's what that's what I think. People think you either have to, excuse yourself from your mistakes, apologize for them, and then completely separate yourselves from those mistakes, or to make a conscious decision to incorporate that mistake into your life to learn to the greatest extent. And I was using the example of mistakes, but I think that goes for things that you just can't get over. I mean, a relationship that didn't work out the way you wanted it to, or an exchange that you can't seem to separate yourself from emotionally. These things affected you. These things will influence who you were and who you are. And to ignore these things, to forget about them, to move on, isn't beneficial for you. Something else that I realized, and it scared me, and taken, I am only 17, but I realized that I've never been more in love with something in my whole life than Germany, than this culture that is so honest but so careful at the same time, so considerate of the things around it, and people that are dependable but not dependent, that you know that 90% of the time you won't have to worry about misunderstanding someone, about having a false expectation. But my dad sat me down and told me the best way to mess up your life right now is to look back. Unfortunately, most girls your age have an emotional propensity to look back, and usually it's with a boy. And you know that is definitely true. If you're driving down the road and you're looking in the rearview mirror, that's good. Then you know what to expect. You know how to handle your forward movement. But if you're driving down the road and you're only looking in the rearview mirror, you're watching that rearview mirror, or your head's turned around, you're gonna crash. You're gonna fail. And the key is to balance and to be honest with yourself and to weigh each potential outcome, both good and bad, and then decide what's worth it. And to see in a situation that most people are trying to get you out of, or that you aren't sure of yourself, is to see what you value in that situation, and then see what the bad consequences are and compare them to the good. And if everyone is telling you that's wrong, but you know exactly what could happen, and you think it'd be worth it, worth whatever gain you may get from that, then I couldn't judge you. I think this isn't very exchange related, but these are things that I've been incorporating into my life lately, and I don't feel like I've been sharing anything of substance lately. And that's been weighing on me because I feel like I spent my whole life being very wordy, and all of a sudden I'm in a place where I can't say the words on the tip of my tongue, and the ones that come out, I find myself halfway through a sentence and don't know how I'm going to finish it. Now, on a more positive note, I'd like to introduce you guys to Mein kleiner grüner Kaktus steht draußen am Balkon. Volledi, volleda, volladu. So I hope you guys remember Cactus and my story about bringing him on train, so people thought that I had a purpose. But a girl sitting there with a cactus, it's like, she must be doing something important. But this really helped me to feel very at home, and of course it's not the same cactus as it was before, but I think that's what's best about it. It's something that reminds me of it, but gives me a new place to start out. Again, sorry about the switch, but I wish you guys a good night, and I'd like to remind you to vote, because that could really, really help me out here. And I'd love to surprise my sister. So one more time, vote. The link is in the description, and I hope you guys have a great time until the next time.